Now, the rest of the story.
Alright, I knew you'd be back. Well, welcome back to the continuation of the haymaking videos. Well, day 2 of baling was a very long day. It's done. This was later that night yet, and this is actually me and my mom hauling in all the hay. This was the farthest away stuff from home that we actually made. Not necessarily from home, but I guess from its destination where we ended up hauling it. This stuff was, I think, 4 miles or so, which it's not super far from home, but this is also new seeding. They were threatening us with rain. We had quite literally 4 different cloud systems roll overhead that never produced any rain, so we got really fortunate. We ended up working until about 10 o'clock that night to try to get off as much as we could because they were calling for rain that night, which in turn it never did. Why am I using the Bobcat over the JCB? You'll see that here in a second. Next question, why am I using the pallet tines over bale tines? I mean, bale tines are just so much better. I don't think so. I actually grew up. We had a set of pallet tines and bale tines, bale spears. I've actually had more experience, more time running with the pallet tines, handling bales, and to be quite honest, I can actually have less wear and tear, less net wrap damage from using the pallet tines as opposed to using the bale spears. Our bales are really tight. If you guys saw in the video the other night when Dad was running around using the JCB, he started out using the bale tines, and he actually switched from the tines back to the pallets because these bales were wrapped so tight that he couldn't get the bale spears back out of the bale without tearing up the bale from trying to back drag it and dragging the net wrap and the bale on the ground and just tearing wrap up, and nobody wants to see that. So pallet tines, my current stance on them is don't knock them till you try them. I can do quite a bit with bale tines, especially in the mud. If you guys can see here real quick, I'm making sure that the bales are centered in on the flatbed here. That's why I was trying to look down. There's the center board I'm trying to line up on. As far as the pallet tines go, especially with the Bobcat, we never had the track machine. Of course, we've proven that we can get the track machine stuck. But like with the Bobcat, when you get into mid to late March, April, sometimes May, like this year when it was so stinking wet, in our lots, because we don't have concrete on everything, so we have dirt lots, which by that time of year are pretty much 2 to 3 feet deep of just muck. Not even mud anymore. It's just pure muck. So if the machine gets stuck, you still got to feed cattle. You can actually use the pallet tines a lot easier to stick down into the mud, into the lot, and push yourself back out. You can do that with bale tines once or twice and break them off. These pallet tines are a lot more durable. They can take a lot more abuse. I mean, we've had these things for, oh gosh, we're probably going on 20 years by now that we've had them, and these are the original tines, original everything on it. The only thing it doesn't have is the side steps on it because we destroyed those almost immediately. So I'm just used to this, especially with the Bobcat. When you have somebody that, Mom has driven truck like this loading bales for years and years, and as far as being able to load them efficiently, that really helps too, that you have somebody that knows where to park on either side of the bales as you're going through the field, so you can just shoot back and forth between the bales and load them up really quick. Any other questions, leave them down below. I'll try to answer them. Oh yes, now back to the big yellow machine. I know I did. Thanks to this machine, I have set a new trailer unloading record when it comes to trying to get these bales off this trailer. The reason being, I think you just saw it here at the beginning of this clip, was the teleboom. The fact that I can actually extend the boom out. I think I got a couple other shots here, where I actually can load just from one side of the trailer. You extend the boom out and I can reach the bales on the far side of the trailer. Now, if I had the Bobcat, I would literally have to drive around all the way around the trailer for at least 4 bales and that's a time killer. When you can limit the amount of traveling that you have to do, and you can just boom, 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 pick them up, set them down, pick them up, set them down, that's huge. And experience, how comfortable you are with the machine and running it, goes a long way too. This thing is a little jumpy. It's just because I'm used to the Bobcat. The controls on it, which I think I would actually like them to be turned down a little bit, because I think we have the setting turned down all the way for the boom and the track controls. But to me, it is just it's practically a hair trigger, if that makes any sense to anybody that hasn't run these machines. You hardly have to move these joysticks, and I got a clip at the end of the video, you can see that, where you hardly move them, and you can cover a lot of distance from a very little amount of movement on those controls. So I am actually really happy with how these bales turned out, if I haven't addressed that before. This stuff had actually been rained on. It had a really good rain shower on it, to be honest with you, and I think it actually did it some good. Grandpa used to say that about small square bales. You can see that boom working. Especially when we were stacking straw bales for bedding in the barn with the small squares. Grandpa actually said that after we combine them, having a rain shower or a rain event anymore on the straw actually made better straw quality than stuff that hadn't been rained on. Now his theory was, and I gotta tend to agree, when straw isn't rained on, it keeps that, what's the best term here, like the waxiness, or it just doesn't really want to pack. It doesn't want to, well, it's similar to like corn fodder. It blows up. I mean, it refuses to pack, unlike hay or whatever. When it gets rained on, it loses that outside layer, or that film, I guess you want to call it. I mean, it's not quite as smooth. The stock actually feels a little bit rough. And it actually makes a better bedding material. So that was Grandpa's feeling on it, and I tend to agree. I actually think the rain helped this stuff as far as its quality, because this stuff is a little bit more on the straw side. I hate to say it, but just with what the weather threw at us, it's what we got. And honestly, I think the rain may have actually helped us as far as it getting dried like it did. It was tedded and everything. But it's still some really nice material. So, what do I think about tracks? Tracks have their place. Wheels have their place. I ran the tracks off on this machine. That was 110% operator error. It was not a very pleasant experience. I don't think it would be on any machine for that matter. But just because I did it, I more or less was just frustrated with myself because I even did it. But albeit in regular conditions, it really wasn't that bad, or wouldn't have been that bad to put the tracks back on. But that's not picking on the machine in any way, shape, or form, because quite literally any machine in the situation that I was in would have been difficult. So and here's the cab view. Really nice machine. It's fully enclosed. Only thing that I really noticed, because I've ran Bobcat skid steers my whole life, is that I'm used to that cage around the cab, and with this JCB, it's just got the glass. I mean, I believe there is an option you can get with some kind of addition on, like for the guards and to protect the glass, like if you're going out in the woods and stuff. The visibility on this thing is a lot different than what we're used to, or what I'm used to with the Bobcat. And as long as you're careful with what you're doing, I mean, you really don't need those rails, as long as you're not going out in the woods and trying to use it as a bulldozer. And actually having cab air heat and the riding seat, the suspension seat, it makes this thing so much nicer. It does have the boom float options on it. I really haven't used them a whole lot myself, just because I was using it right here in the buildings. But it's the nature of the machine. The boom on the right hand side, there is a pretty big blind spot on your right as far as being able to see over your right shoulder if anyone is there, if there's anything you need to be watching out for. I catch myself doing that a lot when I'm running it. I end up picking the boom up to really look under the boom to see if there's anything to my right. So it's not the end of the world. It's just the nature of the machine. And once again, I'm using pallets. Really quick, simple. I prefer them. As far as the Bobcat though, like with the controls, you'll be seeing it here in a few seconds. But like with the Bobcat, that has the hand controls, just the standard regular old school hand controls for controlling your wheels, and then the booms and the bucket are controlled by your feet. With this machine, everything is done with your hands, and then you actually have a foot throttle on the floor to control your engine throttle with this machine. So you catch yourself doing that a lot more with this than what we did with the Bobcat. The Bobcat, pretty much when you ran it, once you got it going and you got the engine warmed up, it was wide open to use the machine all day long. With this, you're catching yourself using the throttle a lot more for when you're turning and picking the booms up and down and tracking them in and out. No, I did not mean to cut off my head here, but I wanted you guys to get a pretty good look at how little and how much you really move these controls to do the simple actions with this machine. I like it. I actually prefer these controls, I really do, over the Bobcat design. By the end of the day, running the Bobcat, your legs are tired, your ankles are tired, and your back is sore because that has absolutely zero suspension on it. But like I said, it has its place. This machine, the younger you are, I think the quicker you'd pick it up. It's kind of like a video game. I mean, video game controls are really nice. And you can see my right thumb. That's how I'm extending and retracting the boom there. It's really simple, almost like you have to really know what I'm doing to really understand why I'm doing it. But they say overall, really nice machine. These bales, you definitely felt them with the Bobcat, but this is also a bigger machine, and it was throwing these bales around like they weren't even hanging off the front. So that's all I got for this video, tonight's video. I'm not sure what comes after this, either tedding or wrapping or whatever else I have to film. I have to edit yet. So you guys are watching the rest of the story. Thanks for riding along. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.